Hey guys, welcome back to Let's Play Metroid Prime. In the last episode, we got here to the Phazon Mines, which is arguably the last, pretty much like the last main area of the game, I'm going to say. And this area is kind of divided into two segments. We're going into the first segment, obviously today. Actually, it's divided in three segments, but we're exploring.
You lied to us.
We're exploring like the first half of it.
Is it 2 or 3? Make up your mind.
It's 3. It's supposed to be 3.
You'll understand. That said, we'll explore the fourth segment here in a bit. Oh, it keeps on adding.
I think that pickup that I just scanned right there, I think it's only in this version. I don't think I remember that ever happening in the original, but I'm not
I think
too
that
sure
is because of a difficulty difference, yeah, which was obviously a thing changed with the trilogy.
That seems about right from what I remember last time I played the trilogy. Though, granted, also I remember from playing the trilogy that I ramped up the brightness a lot more than Matt has at the moment. Like, I think the funniest thing is I remembered actually a couple of streams I've done this year. A couple of people have come into my streams and just been like, "Oh, the resolution looks a bit weird." I'm like, "I've cranked up the brightness well beyond what they recommended because I need it." And they're just going, "Oh, yeah, that's probably what it is. I'm used to the saturation being lower." I'm like, "Yeah, it has to be higher for me because I can't see."
That's just
like I can see now.
Issue at that point?
Oh, no. It's not. Well, that's the thing is that I don't have it going through the TV. I have it going through my capture card straight to my monitor. So it's a thing of everything on my display is fine. The problem is then the way the game is rendering the default brightness is way too low. So the compensation I'd need to do is either ramp up the brightness on my monitor and skew the saturation of everything, or ramp up the brightness in the game so that if it were on the TV, I'd be able to see what I'm doing. So I went for the latter. But yeah, any game that has those brightness settings of, tilt this down until you can barely see this image, I'm like, no, I'm gonna ramp it up until it's the same brightness as the other thing, because otherwise I won't see where walls are. Curse you, Jedi Fallen Order. Curse you, Metroid Prime.
Well, speaking of dark area, this area is kind of a very dark, especially like later part of the level. It's very dark.
Wait a minute.
Oh yeah.
I was told Metroid was an action-adventure game. You tell me it's a horror game too?
Oh, I could have told you that with you.
I mean, have you seen Ridley? Scream of that.
I thought this was just an action-adventure game. Come on, man.
But we're about ready to be introduced to a new type of space pirates here in this room. And here we go. We get to play color-coded the game.
Ah, yes, Simon Says.
Yeah, pretty much. These space pirates are basically mocking your weapons in a way. This one's a wave trooper. Can you guess what its weakness is? Yeah,
Taste beam.
These enemies are only damaged by the weapon that they're color-coded with, and there's one variant of every single beam. There's a power trooper, there's a ice trooper, and then we'll get another beam later, and there's a color-coded for that one, too.
Yeah, I think the strongest one, so to say, is actually the power beam one, because outside of super missiles, they take a little while to die. Everything else has like a stun lock or next to no health.
Yeah, like these wave troopers here, they as you saw, power charge beam, wave beam just flat out just stuns them. It's just, and they can't do anything for a couple seconds. We got invisible space pirate here. He just won't leave me alone.
He's like, "Oh, Samus."
She can't see me, even though my camouflage isn't that great.
I mean, the zapping does help find him again, which is good.
Yeah.
I think that definitely makes these situations really tense, but it also doesn't make it feel like it's gravely unfair by relying on needing to change your visor settings constantly, because there are certain things that the beams will do to these enemies to make them visible without it, which is great. I love this segment.
Yeah. this segment of the game, it's really difficult, and like I said before, it kind of gives it the horror element because this place is very dark, and there's some enemies that are just like scary in general. And I love going through Phazon Mines, even though it is kind of a pain in the butt. This is a thing right here that we're scanning. This is a Elite Pirate Alpha, or that's not what the actual name of the enemy is. But we're going to be dealing with him later. We don't have a weapon to break him free yet, so...
Give it a couple minutes.
But you need... Yeah, we're going to scan this thing here and activate these platforms here, so that way we can jump up that way. And of course, I'm playing waggle controls. That always happens. I'm like, where's my sensor?
Can I just say, like,
the
more we've like gone through this game, the more like there's like one kind of age complaint I have to all the Prime games, and it's just like a quality of life thing nowadays in FPSs that I kind of wish was in this game specifically. A POV slider, because honestly, this is very like touched in. It's very zoomed. Having like a wider field of view would be nice in some way. That's what I'd say, a field of view slider. I think this is like the default 70 that a lot of games do, which is like very punched in. Nowadays, I think the standard's going to 90 because everyone has big screens.
Now, remind me again, Matt. You're playing this on the trilogy version, not the original GameCube version, correct?
Yes, I'm playing the trilogy version of this one.
Now, I feel like I've asked you before, but it's been so long I can't remember the answer. Do you prefer playing with controller controls or a hybrid of motion and nunchuck?
I will tell you what I said before. I think that this version is definitively the best version to play a Metroid Prime, but I have also played the GameCube game for years, and I'm so used to those clunky controls, using the analog stick to do the camera movement and stuff like that. I'm used to it. That guy is barely hanging on to that platform, by the way.
Yeah, the thing tiptoe over there.
I kind of agree, because I had a similar problem when I was last playing Spyro the Dragon, of that even though we've always had we for a decent while had analog controllers on the PS1, I always preferred playing the original Spyro with the D-pad. So when I started playing Reignited Trilogy, my immediate reaction was to keep using the D-pad. But I actually felt that I had a lot more control with the analog stick than I used to as a kid, which is kind of nice because I always felt that with the analog stick I had too much movement. And now I think I've been able to adjust, but there'll be certain sections where I go, nah, I need 2-axis. The 3rd axis is gonna get me killed. Let's just go.
Yeah, there are
I do the same thing with Crash. I jump between the analog stick and the D-pad constantly when it goes from corridor movement to 2D movement. Because if I'm using the analog stick, I constantly just spatially lose myself.
Yeah, I'm the same.
A great example of another game where I just can't do that is Croc. Croc.
I kind of do the same thing in games. Like, Sonic games are a great example between the 2D and 3D transitions, which is what bugged me so much about the PC version of Sonic Forces, because the console versions, you can use the D-pad and the control stick to move, but for some weird reason, on the PC version, you cannot. It's one or the other.
Really?
Which I hate. I don't know why. I had to make a special control scheme in Steam to fix it. It's stupid.
Well, I'm all the more glad that I grabbed it when it was free on the PSN.
So, with that being said, do you guys think this game would do good if it was ported to Switch at that point?
Oh, goodness, yes.
You'll have both control schemes at that point. You'll have the purest idea of the dual stick thing.
People have been clamoring for it for years.
Yeah, you'll get the purest thing from GameCube, like the dual stick control, where one could be just changing the weapons and one could be aiming. And then you would have like the benefits of the free moving aim for Wii with gyro controls. I could see them doing both.
Oh yeah. Like, you know the Hori gamepad extensions that have got the extra triggers on them and like the deeper rumble feedback? That would be perfect for this. That would be perfect for this. Because I've used them for Monster Hunter Rise. Oh, it would work like a dream here.
Now, one thing I want to try...
I can say that definitively because Rise was the first time I felt like I was actually in control of a bow and arrow weapon in a Monster Hunter game, and that never happens. And I'm like, ooh, you know what this would work really well with? Metroid.
Yeah, one thing I want to try is that there's actually a fan mod of, I don't remember if it's the GameCube version or the Wii version of this specifically, but there is a mod that you can play this on, like, Dolphin on the emulator that allows you to actually play with mouse and keyboard. And I kind of want to try that just to see how this kind of game would translate to that control scheme. Because from what I heard, this game controls really nice with mouse and keyboard.
I can see that.
Mm.
But Marley, one reason why I really like this version, I think this is better to play, in my opinion. Main reason, and you've been seeing it, jump ball, jump.
Oh yeah,
this is good enough reason, because not being able to just stop and place a bomb to jump makes it life so much easier when I can just flick the Wii remote and just jump.
It is the tiniest accessibility advantage that changes the freedom of play immensely. Like, it's fantastic.
It makes all the morph ball puzzles a lot easier, and especially with bomb jumping.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, actually. It reminds me of one very tiny addition that they put in the remake of Abe's Odyssey, New and Tasty, where literally you can walk along and just hit the throw button and not select a direction, and what happens instead is if you're carrying rocks or grenades, you just drop them at your feet, which means you don't have to worry about throwing it, timing it, and hoping that it'll be in the right vicinity to what you need to explode. You just drop it at your feet and run away, and usually if you're in the right spot for it, boom.
Now,
it's on par with that. It's like such a tiny thing, but it changes everything.
Yeah. Now, this is what I was talking about, how Phazon Mines kind of is different. There's sub-layers to this level.
Oh, yes.
The map is kind of very big on this world, part of the world.
Yeah. Is it one of the biggest areas in the game?
It's
I would say it is the biggest.
Because you got, the top layer, then you got a sub-level 2, then you got a sub-level 3. You won't be getting to sub-level 3 until later. But this is, we're entering the second sub-level. And also there's a missile expansion right here. And there's a guy just sitting there trying to jump me, but I
guarding.
He was guarding that spot, and I was just like nuts to that, and he just when I blew that up, and he died.
Came for the missile pack, left with the body.
I'm in danger.
And now I think we're about ready to fight a mini boss. But first, pirate data.
I mean, this could be a mini boss, or it could be a jumping stone.
Yeah.
You never see a speedrun fight one of these unless it's like 2 of them. This one you can just skip.
This is the thing. It's called an elite pirate. Elite pirates are just. This is where my biggest complaint with this game is like boss patterns. Big boss enemies have the same freaking attack patterns. And
Do we even call this thing a boss? This is barely classifies as a boss.
Padding. Okay, we'll call it padding.
This is an elite pirate. He's big. He's mean. He's like, I'm strong. But the thing is, though, he has a thing on his back. He shoots at you, and he'll walk towards you and start absorbing all your energy-based weapons at once. You have to wait until he puts his arm down to actually attack him. But if you get close to him, he'll do a thing that is very common in this game. If he'll do it. I don't know if I'm going to make him do it, but if you get close to him, he will do a shockwave. Slam the ground and make a shockwave, where your only tactic is to jump over it. Like, here we go. See?
And you have a double jump, so it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I would say almost every big boss later on in this game has this attack move. And I'm just like, dude, come on. Like, can we think of something else?
Yeah, that's why I barely classify this guy as a boss. If anything, maybe more like a mini boss, and that's even a stretch.
Or just like big enemy, so it's like it's kind of on tier with when they have bulkier. It's in the same way of being a mini boss as a Kirby mini boss is a mini boss. How it's just screen's limiting my movement, gotta kill this thing, can swallow it, keep going, bada boom. That's about it.
Ice troopers are literally the easiest ones to fight.
Yeah, they don't even do anything because when you freeze them, they can't do anything.
I don't know why missiles wasn't working there for a second there, but usually you just, freeze it and shoot a missile at it and it blows up, but I don't know why.
I think they're immune to missiles because it isn't like their weakness type. Now, if you had an ice missile variant, that would work.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
But yeah, this is the Elite Pirates. We're going to be seeing a lot of Elite Pirates going forward. So that's the only, like I said, biggest complaint I have of this game is a lot of enemies just have, big enemies just have a big old shockwave attack. And I'm just like, come on, can you do something else besides this? Alright, so if we come in here, I think this leads to, the lower level, but we can't access it, and you'll see why here in a second.
Pyro rocks.
Yeah.
My one weakness.
Yeah. Rock Slime has blocked his path. If I would have stayed there, it would have said, hey, this is full of Pendesium. And that's a clue. It's like, oh, I can't come here yet.
You know what that reminds me of is that picture on Facebook where it's like video games, your path has been blocked and it's just like one tiny rock in the middle of the road.
Like, dang it, my one weakness.
Or the meme of Red going through Kanto, and then he comes to a tree and just goes, no! And then the camera pans out, and it's literally just a cardboard cutout in the middle of the road shaped like a tree.
Yeah.
You could easily walk around it.
I think these pirate data logs here, I think this is the one where they were talking about trying to copy Samus's morph ball technology, and that guy got horribly disfigured when they tried to do it.
Oh, that guy.
I think it's one of these. I can't remember. It's one of them where the space pirate was like, yeah, we tried to do the hunter's morph ball technology, but like Jimbo, he got completely broke every bone in his body because we tried to put him in a ball.
It kind of reminds me of the animation of, Samus getting her morph ball, and then she rolls up, and you just hear, like, a bone cracking noise, and then she just goes...
It's bad. Some of the pirate logs are pretty funny, because you can... here is a... What was the missile launcher? I didn't scan that?
Apparently not.
Oh, it was the 5.
You've been scanning a lot of missiles, so I thought maybe it was just...
I thought we scanned it literally when we walked into this area, but I guess that was a different item.
Hard to say.
I don't know. Anyways,
it might be like some of those games where it's got a log for things, but until you scan it a certain number of times, it's like, there's a slightly different entry for that.
Yeah, it could be worse. It could be like Breath of the Wild. Hey, you walked through this path, but you didn't walk through it the correct way. Like, what's the correct way? There's a straight line over the bridge. Come on, just give me a location. No, I'm not bitter.
No, I'm not bitter. Someone's petty. Lester be like, I'm the king of petty.
Not petty, salt. There's a difference.
Now, there's a rock slide. Oh, my one weakness. There's a rock slide right in front of that door. All that leads is to a map room. So, you can come back if you want, but I don't see the point of coming back and getting that. I probably will get it just because I show off basically everything.
Well, you kind of have to walk back through this area, so if you're like passing back through here, you might as well kind of situation. And after a certain point here, you get deep in the mines, and then you have to beeline out of here because you can't progress. Digging there up.
Yeah.
I think the fun thing about watching Matt play, though, is the fact that he'll be clearing rooms with enemies and fighting whatever's around, and then he'll just go, yeah, here's an area I haven't been, I'm just going to scan this as the enemy is walking towards me, just so I can save myself the time of walking back to scan it before I leave. Which, it saves time, so all the more power to you.
Yeah.
So what you were saying about there's no point means there is a point for you because it's going to bother you.
Yes.
If you don't do it.
Yes.
That's.
I can attest to this because I remember Matt, that one corner of map that I went back to so I could space jump all the way to the top corner of it and be like, okay, cool, we can leave here now.
Yeah. So with that said, how do you
Dang it.
actually 100% map completion of a game like Metroid Dread when they literally lock you out of an area and the only way to get in there is via a cutscene and the game's beaten?
Then it was made for me.
Just glitch it, and that's the only way you're gonna get map completion.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I did the exact same thing with Kirby and the Amazing Mirror because it does that with visiting map areas and the treasure chests that don't have collectible items in them that are just one-ups. I've just gone, well, this matters, so it matters, so...
Well, this mini boss is something because I need to mention something with this guy. You can't see him at all, but here's the thing. This is one of those robots that's invisible for some reason. They don't really explain this when he has a cloak, I guess. If you have the Wave Buster upgrade to your Wave Beam, just use that. This guy dies in a second. It's the easiest boss in the whole game. Just flat out. He doesn't even try.
And the rest of the time, it's just obnoxious, okay.
He is obnoxious. Because look, my shots are just like passing right through him, I feel like.
But again, if you have Wave Buster, it automatically locks onto him. As long as he's in your general area, it just zooms right to him, and it kills him instantly.
Well, I probably should have picked up Wave Buster before we came down here, but that's okay. Anyways, we got a maze to go through because we did an amazing job with that boss.
So amazing that it conveniently broke a hole in the ground that we couldn't have done otherwise.
Yeah,
Metroid games do a great job of setting the scene and expanding the world around you, but I do feel this one did feel a bit weird. I've just gone, I couldn't have blown up the floor.
God.
Like in Zero Mission, not being able to break the glass in that one tube until I got the super missiles or the power bombs made sense, but really?
Like, I know this is late game, and you should be used to the controls at this point with the Wii version. But what if you wasn't really good with the Wii version in general, and you were trying to do this?
Then it'd just be like
playthrough.
It'd be like doing the controls in the mini games in Chocobo Tales, where everything's done with a dang touch screen, and you've got to direct things like the Adamant. Bad flashbacks.
What are you doing?
I don't understand either. You have a decent
What am I
maze layout.
doing?
You went the wrong way.
Rolling start.
So for reference, this maze is random every time you play, so you're not gonna have the same pattern. But the key is just to blow up the things of water, and that will short circuit this to open a path. And you went like the opposite direction of the next puddle for some reason.
I don't know. Reminder to everybody at home: this is my fastest time ever beating Metroid Prime. 100%.
I have a lot of doubts.
I mean, look at it this way, Matt. You know exactly where you can save time next time. That's the biggest
we're not playing the game again.
This is I literally like 4 times in this playthrough where I've like completely had a brain dead moment and I've had to redo things over and over again. I'm just like, what the heck is wrong with? How is this my best friend?
Next playthrough of yours, you're gonna take a nap in the middle of your gameplay, and you're still gonna be faster than this run, aren't you?
Well, maybe this is the amount of time that you save by scanning things on the way. Maybe that counteracts all of the time that you spend at other spots, meaning that you could potentially save like 20 minutes on your next run if it all adds up right.
Anyways, we got power. Yeah, you're probably right. But we got power bombs. Power bombs are just, big old explosions. You have a finite number of them, so it's like the missiles.
And you never get drops from them. Why? It's like maybe a 10% chance of one of those to fall from something. I feel like that in itself is a franchise consistency, is you always need power bombs and nothing will ever drop them. Yeah. And you have like 2 in total you can hold. It's like, well, this is gonna be hard.
Yeah. But yeah, that's that. We got, now that we have that, we can blow up Endesium now. So